kuna mtu akona ubaya na sisi, lakini tutapelekana hivyo tu pole pole. All right.
Mtu amesema, kuna hiyo quote of the day nasema do everything, something every day that scares you. Mtu amesema, he fears marrying me. Yes.
Then do it today. Now do it today. Anyway, let's take a look at the day list this morning. And we start off with the Standard, things fall apart. That's a big one on the front page of the Standard today. No longer at ease. Hey, lakini Standard leo amechoma. I don't even know. Wow. Just listen to this. This is what they're saying on the front page. Kenyans are tired. Tired of being remembered only when elections loom. Tired of watching hundreds of millions poured into one constituency while others are neglected. Tired of leaders who treat public resources as campaign tools. Ol Kalou may have marked a turning point. In Trans Nzoia, Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya and Senator Alan Chesang were booed and chased away as residents rejected token handouts and demanded fairness. The message was unmistakable. Keep the goodies. We want dignity, equity, and leaders who serve us every day. And I think this is the feeling across the country that, because this was very, very much watched, the by-elections in Ol Kalou. And so people wondering, okay, kama hawa walipewa hiyo yote, mbona sisi hatukupewa? Kwani we are different? Kwani Ol Kalou wako na nini? You know, Malava, watu wa Malava walipewa soda na mkate. Wamekasirika mbaya sana. You can't say that.
Given that and you take that, then you see another person being given more and now you start feeling bad. Meaning that is what you want.
How? Oh no. I feel pity for people of Malava because they're really... Anyway, so that's one argument. And you know it's only 1 year to the election. So they're saying, okay, fine. Now, because you did that in a by-election, can you do that for us when the campaigns come? Can you do that for us? That's all that's all we're asking for. Can you do that for us? And that's the biggest, I tell you. I think without even knowing it, there's some candidates who will be disadvantaged. Next year. Because of the party they are affiliated with and the fact that this same party did something different in Ol Kalou. So they'll be asked, okay, so we saw what happened in Ol Kalou. Can you do that for us? Yeah. So you're the candidate for that party. You do it for us.
Imagine the amount of money that will be spent next year.
You cannot replicate what happened in Ol Kalou. You cannot. Boats. Anyway, so that's the main story on the front page of this paper. Other stories inside the pages, Isli's success story faces a twin threat of drugs and insecurity. Isli is a whole problem. You can read that on page 2. After Ol Kalou loss, Ruto weighs cabinet shake-up and new alliances. So this is something we anticipate, that the president, of course, is not very happy with what happened in Ol Kalou. So people anticipate that this is the end for some people, and we'll be looking at that because I think it's in one of the papers. But even beyond the deputy president or the running mate position, I think there could be a number of cabinet secretaries who are not going to be lucky. One of them is Geoffrey Ruku. He's been very loud. Yeah. But you see, he supports Professor Kithure Kindiki, who failed to deliver Ol Kalou. So what happens to Ruku? Ruku. Difficult. Things fall apart.
Is the last one cabinet secretary?
Yes. And perhaps the loudest so far. All right. Gachagua dares UDA defectors to revolt publicly. Can they? Should they? That's another big discussion going forward. So those are the main stories on the front page of the Standard. There's a health story away from politics. Outcry over fees for free HIV drugs as patients demand stern action. This story, we've been following it. I know we've not been discussing it, but the fact that there are quite a number of people who are going without their HIV medication, and some are getting fake medication, expired medication. We've been talking about that. It's still there. This is on page 8 of the Standard. Right. And on the back page, matters, World Cup, of course, the winning team, Spain, and a picture there of the forlorn Messi. I felt it for him. And you know, the problem is when you lose such a big trophy and you have to stay there at the stadium until you receive your medal. And then you still have to stay on until you watch your opponents lift the trophy. And you just have to stay there. He cried. He really cried yesterday.
Well, I feel like if he wanted to win, he would have.
Yeah, but it was his to win. He lost. Anyway, Spain are champions of the world. That's the Standard this morning.
All right, tuangalie People Daily. They say cracks emerge in Ruto's turf. And they call it young turks versus old guards. We have Oscar Sudi here on the front page. On one side, there's Jonathan Chelilim. There's Aaron Cheruiyot, Kipchumba Murkomen. These are the young turks. Are they the old guards?
But they failed to deliver. That's the one thing they should be reminded. You failed to deliver all Kalau, including Dennis Itumbi, my friend. You failed. This one you failed.
There's also Jackson Manago, Julius Bitok, Dr. Chris Kipto, and Musa Sirma. This story has been captured on page 4 of the People Daily. Wanasema Ruto under fire to replace Kindiki as running mate. And also they talk about UDA's all Kalau loss triggers fierce backlash from ODM. Lakini tukiangalia here juu, they say two factions have emerged in Western Kenya, one pushing for National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula to be on presidential ticket, while another prefers CS Oparanya for the slot. Is that the same story really? This, yeah, it is the same. So fresh cracks emerge in Ruto's staff. On the top strip, all Kalau loss triggers fresh pressure on Ruto to replace Kindiki ahead of 2027 election. That same story is on page 4, 5, and 6. Has the president's hustler brand lost its magic? And said the crisis facing Kenya's populist politics. That is another story captured on page 7 and 8. People Daily, People and Politics. Has the hustler brand lost its magic?
You know, there's one thing that people believed, that President William Ruto was somewhat unbeatable. And they said he's never lost an election. Then this happens in Kalau. And the following day he came out and we have that clip, him saying, I was jali, siasa tapanga, napanga siasa, and guys are looking at him and saying,
Yeah.
You ulipatikana.
Yes, that was 30,000 surely.
That margin was just too big.
Yeah.
And the feeling is that it's taking a bit longer to sink in. The by-election was on Thursday. We were talking about the results on Friday.
Yeah.
But it's taken the whole weekend just to sink in. That, enyewe hii, kuna watu walilimwa. Na walilimwa proper. Anyway, acha tuzungumzie ile tunaona, acha tusiseme analysis. Let's take a look at the Daily Nation. Empty talk. So this one steers clear of matters by elections, but they talk about things that happened during the by-election. The use of goons. At least a dozen incidents of armed goons disrupting political events, mainly those involving the opposition leaders and government's critics, have been reported. In some cases, police have appeared to look on as the thugs rampaged, leaving a trail of death, injuries, and destruction. Yet, after each attack, the authorities promised swift investigations to arrest the perpetrators and masterminds, pledges that are rarely fulfilled before the next episode of violence. The latest was last week, brazen attack by hooded armed men during the All Kalau by-election. And they have the image there of the Interior CS, Murkomen. And you know, this one I have to call him out. Because prior to the by-elections, he kept on saying, oh, I know, we are following this person. And he mentioned the name and he said, we're going to do something about it. We're going to do. He never did anything. Up till now, he hasn't done anything. He said, I know the person behind this, and we're going to do something. What have you done? Says Murkomen. What have you done? So authorities must expose and dismantle networks recruiting, financing, and directing the gangs. It is not enough to threaten that you're going to do something. As a CS Interior or the PS Interior, or whoever else is charged with this country's security, they need to do something. Because according to the Kofi Annan Foundation report, akukai poa. If we continue like this, next year, tutaka kama Haiti.
84% same mchezo of violence.
Yes.
That is.
Yeah. So this person who keeps on threatening, can you do something, please? We're just asking, can you please do something? CS Murkomen. So in their own words, and these are different quotes of the people actually charged with this country's security and what they said they would do. And they did nothing. All of them here. They've quoted the Inspector General of Police, the DCI boss. They've quoted so many people, but they've done nothing about it. Empty talk. That's the headline on the front page of the Daily Nation. Other quick highlights on the front page of this paper: Supreme Court's big 2027 decision. Top judges have asked the Attorney General to submit an advisory opinion on whether impeached leaders may contest elections, while petitions challenging their removal remain unresolved, ahead of a ruling that will determine the fate of Rigathi Gachagua, Mike Sonko, and Kawira Mwangaza. Okay. So chances are, if the Supreme Court now gives a decision, it means that Rigathi Gachagua, and you can imagine Rigathi Gachagua now, what he's feeling after Ol Kalou. Eh? It's like he can take on the world. So if the Supreme Court comes out and says, okay, fine, as long as you have a case in court, you can still contest. Wow. Rigathi Gachagua for president, you imagine that. I'm not saying, just saying imagine. Teachers get new pay deal, and it's there on the front page. A C1 teacher could get an increase of about 1,300, from 31,000 to 32,000. Yeah. But at least for, hata sioni tofauti hapa, because ati chief principal anaongezewa shilingi 900. Wewe.
Wacha.
Hii ni nini unaweka kwa front page surely? What is this new pay deal? What is come on, hapana. I think this is an injustice. To be honest, I don't think teachers deserve such thing on a front page.
900 is pocket change.
For a chief principal, not even a senior principal is getting an increase of 800. Yeah? A principal and deputy principal getting 700 an increase. No. This one, we should not even pay attention to it. This is a joke, if you ask me. Yeah. And he teaches to pocket more as TSC rolls out new CBA face. No. I don't think we need to talk about that. All talk, no action as political violence persists. We've talked about that. Major disruptions expected as lawyers plan to boycott judges. They've said they'll be boycotting judges across the country who have failed to do one or two things according to the lawyers. But najua shida na mawakili wanapenda pesa. So what a boycott will happen now? I want to be in court. How do you boycott?
Yeah.
And if I pay you as a client to represent me in court, how do you say you're boycotting the same court? Yeah. Right. So in the next 21 days, the AG will give a direction on that. So those are the main pages. Kindiki rejects CS Ruko's push to split Mount Kenya. Ruko anajipata kumali kwa shida. Anyway, back page, this paper I think went to bed a bit earlier before Spain won. 48-team World Cup has silenced critics. And all-time top scorers, Kylian Mbappe of France. I think he scored 10 goals. Yeah. Lionel Messi came in second. So that's the FIFA World Cup. It's finally come to an end with Spain emerging as the winners. That's the Daily Nation.
All right. Gazeti la Taifa Leo, atakuwa Debeni, ni swali wanauliza katika ukurasa wa mbele. Hatima Rigathi Gachagua aliyeng'atuliwa katika wadhifa wa naibu wa rais mnamo mwaka 2024 amekuwa akisisitiza kuwa atawania urais katika uchaguzi wa mwaka ujao, lakini baadhi ya wataalamu wa sheria wanasisitiza kuwa baada ya kung'atuliwa mhusika hawezi kuwania kiti chochote cha kisiasa hadi miaka 10 ipite. Mahakama ya juu kuamua iwapo yeyote aliyeng'atuliwa afisini anaweza kuwania. Wamepewa siku 21. Huu ni Mike Sonko pia na vile Kawira Mwangaza alongside Rigathi Gachagua. Vidokezo zaidi, Kindiki apinga wito wa mlima kugawanyika. Waziri Ruto aliibua mjadala kuwa ipo haja ya mlima Kenya Mashariki kujitenga na magharibi. Alisema ndio kukue wakijua Mount Kenya East iko na hii party ina lead to 2027 wapate ushindi. Yeah, sasa akishasema Mount Kenya East.
Slow down.
Mkataba wa shilingi bilioni 80 billion. What's 80?
80.
Mkataba wa shilingi bilioni 80 baina ya Ruto na Sakaja hatarini. Seneti yapendekeza ushirika kati ya serikali na kaunti ya Nairobi usimamishwe. Ujenzi wa kaburi la Raila kufanyika hii leo. Kampuni nyingi za taka zabuni za kuchimba madini yanayopiganiwa zaidi duniani. Hiyo ni habari katika ukurasa wa pili. Kule juu zaidi ni kubaya Amerika na Iran wakivamiana na Uingereza yajuliwaza kwa shaba. 3 Lions wapepeta Ufaransa mechi ya kuamua nambari 3 kabla ya finali jana. Taifa Leo.
Tukiangazia gazeti la The Star. And the Star steers clear of anything we've been talking about. Not all Kalau, nothing, even the World Cup is not on the front page. But they talk about why you spend more but get less in your shopping goods bag. I know you have this feeling that previously you were going to the supermarket and with a certain amount you knew you could do certain. Mpaka itabidi ujaze buta ama uchukue Uber or something like that. But the issue is right now, you go with 20,000 shillings and you come out with one bag.
Yeah.
Unajibebea tu hata utaki mambo mingi.
Ukiwa na 5k unapata vitu tatu tu.
Mafuta. Wewe mwenyewe unaibeba.
Yeah, kwa mkono hivi.
So that's what the Star is talking about. Bread, cooking fat, tissue paper and gas affected by quantity reduction. That's on page 4 and 5. So there's someone who's quoted here saying, I buy bread every morning for my children, but nowadays the loaf feels much lighter. So they're saying that, according to this story, is that the sizes and the weights have been reduced. So if at all you were buying bread, which ideally should be 500 grams?
I don't eat bread, I don't know.
Oh, you don't? Okay. 500 grams of bread, sahi nasikia ni 400. It's not 500. Ilikuwa hiyo ni nusu kilo. Mkate ilikuwa ni nusu kilo. Did you come across buffalo?
Of course.
Buffalo ilikuwa nusu kilo buffalo. Ukipigwa hivi nayo
unashiba.
Sasa sahi inabadilisha ni kama all the manufacturers have reduced something. Something slightly is being reduced. That's a story on page 4 and 5 that most of the products you're buying have been slightly reduced in size and quantity. Yeah. That's why you're spending more.
Hata mafuta ifiki juu.
Haifiki. Ukiamua 1 kg, kumbe haifiki 1 kg.
Yeah.
So this is a story on pages 4 and 5 of this paper. Other quick highlights on the front page of the Star. After Ruto ni sisi. DP Kindiki tells Mount Kenya East residents. Hii story ya Mount Kenya East haipotei. It's one of the big conversations today. What happens to the deputy president? He promised his boss is going to relieve all Kalau.
Msema hiyo ni mambo madogo.
Madogo. Kura zao ndo zilikuwa ndogo. He failed to deliver. What happens to people are now calling for him to be, because he was hired anyway. Tales of women rebuilding their lives after hard times in prison. That's a very interesting story in the inside pages of the Star. People have come out of prison and now they're rebuilding their lives. And Mudavadi calls for national unity. Nyuma, this paper does not talk about the World Cup, very briefly there, but Kiplimo chases back-to-back Bogota half-marathon crown. And matters rugby on the back page of the Star. Fresh, independent, different. You can grab yourself a copy of this paper for only 60 bob today.
All right, very quickly, Business Daily, CBK and Supreme Court differ over bank loan rates. Judges say Treasury is not needed for new rates. And CBK states it has a sole role in directing bank costs. That's a story captured on page 2. Nairobi policy signals parking fee increase to at least 535 Kenyan shillings. City Hall's revenue from parking fees in the financial year ended June 2026 amounts to 1.78 billion Kenyan shillings. That's another story on page 14. On the ticker, banks reopen loan tabs for households. Safaricom wins affordable housing internet deal. And Treasury bill rates rise up to 9% as US renew Iran strikes. And that's the Business Daily this morning.
All right, from the Business Daily, let's take a look at the regional papers. And we start off with the East African, the weekly paper. On the East African today, yes, Somalia exposed. Somalia exposed, they say that, and I don't know why this one is, uncertainty shrouds AU's peace mission in Somalia after US said it was pulling the plug on the UN support office, potentially folding the peace operations by year end. Tens of UN staff are also staring at loss of jobs. So the US is just pulling out of a lot of things. So if they pull out of this office, it means kuna shida pale. Americans in Kenya, Ebola quarantine center, 7.
Yeah.
So this story, I don't know why it's not on any of the other papers. It's only on the East African. That there are already 7. Yeah? You thought you didn't have an Ebola case. Now there are already 7 cases. 7 Americans in Kenyan Ebola quarantine center. How come these papers are not talking about that?
I think I saw a story like that during the weekend.
That should have been the headline. The main headline. That finally Ebola, you know, up until now, Kenya has never recorded a single case of Ebola. Now there are 7 cases. They cannot take Americans there if at all they don't have Ebola. It is an Ebola quarantine site.
Yeah.
Walega. So it means now Kenya officially has Ebola. That's the East African. Alright, Uganda bado wamelala na sababu walitunyima ile gazeti yao ingine ile inaitwa Daily Monitor. New Vision are very slow. They don't have a paper today. Probably to come later. Let's go to Tanzania. The Citizen. What Tanzania and Egypt's relations mean for Africa. They say although Egypt is already Tanzania's 8th largest source of foreign investment, both heads of state agreed that bilateral trade remains far below its potential. So they're talking about relations between Tanzania and Egypt. The other paper is Mwananchi. Roho mkononi ndio habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele pale wa gazeti hili la Mwananchi kule Tanzania. Wanasema madereva wa malori wasimulia magumu wanayopitia wakisafirisha kemikali ya sulfur kwa zaidi ya umbali wa kilomita 2,000. Ofisi ya mkemia mkuu wa serikali yaeleza mambo muhimu ya kuzingatia. Wataalamu wa afya pia wanena. It's about transporting sulfur across Tanzania. It's a big story there on the front page of Mwananchi. And those are the regional papers. Let's come back home and take a look at the Karakacha.